Hey guys, welcome back to my Barbells and Brownies podcast. I'm your host, Brittany, and today we're diving into something that hits home for so many of us, finding balance when life feels absolutely overwhelming. But first, I want to thank each and every one of you for making this podcast top 25 for the self-love podcast list. I appreciate all of you so much. All right, let's dive in and let's be real for a second. Life is hard and being a human can be so difficult. The stress, the endless to-do list, the guilt of not being able to be everywhere or do everything. Whether you're juggling work, family, personal goals, or all the above, it's easy to feel like you're drowning in it. And if you're sitting there thinking, why does it feel like everyone else has got everything together and I'm barely hanging on? Let me tell you, you are not alone. I get it. I've been there. We're all just trying to make it through the day without losing our minds. So let's talk about the reality of being overwhelmed. I know that a lot of you listening are constantly feeling like you're running on empty. You're exhausted. You're pulled in a million directions. And no matter how much you do, you feel like it's never enough and you feel like you are not enough. But what I want you to understand is that being overwhelmed and having burnout, it's not a badge of honor. It's a red flag. It's your body and mind screaming at you that something needs to shift. So when you're constantly in this state, it affects everything, your health, your relationships, your mental well-being. And you might be saying, yeah, I know all of this, Brittany, but how do we shift things? How do we change? How do I get out of this horrendous cycle? How do you find balance when it just feels like it's not possible? Well, let me break it down for you. Okay, tip 1, prioritize what actually matters. It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind and feel like you need to do it all. But here's the thing, you can't, and you don't have to. It's time to get really clear about what is most important to you. And if you're not clear about what really matters, you'll end up running in circles, trying to be everything to everyone. And you know what? That is a fast track to burnout. So ask yourself, what do you want to focus on today, this week, this month, and what can you let go of even just for now? It's all about making space for the essentials, and this isn't about perfection. This is just about getting real with yourself about what matters most. And if you're like, I have a million things on my to-do list, every single one of them matters. No, it doesn't. Sit down today, write out a must-do side on a sheet of paper, and then a possible to-do or a handoff to someone else to-do on the other side of your paper. Tip 2, set boundaries. Not excuses for people, boundaries. And here's the hard truth. If you don't set boundaries, nobody else is going to do it for you. Take this with a grain of salt. The world is created in a way that we shouldn't have boundaries, that we should be available 24/7. We need to show up for everyone, and just like burning out is one of those things that people are like, oh yeah, that's normal, but it's not normal. And we need to just shift that narrative. And so being the one that is in charge of protecting your time and your energy, you have to be the one that says no. And I know that that's hard and you maybe feel like an asshole, but you're not. This is 100% necessary. And if you're constantly saying yes to things that don't align with your priorities, you're just creating more stress for yourself. And I know that it feels selfish at first, but self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. And I know that that sounds so cliche, but it could not be more true. If you are pouring into all of these people 24/7 and not pouring into yourself at all, it creates all this hate and this resentment. And I know people are like, oh, well, you focus on you and you make yourself the priority, then that's all you think about, you're number one. But that's not the truth. Focusing on you makes it so you can better show up for the people that you care about and that you love. And if you have no energy to do that, then you can't show up for your people. And so just having that mindset of like, I am doing this, I'm doing this workout, I'm doing this mindset work, I'm doing yada, yada, yada. It's for me, yes, but it's so other people can reap those benefits. And it's just so important. So if you don't create time and space for yourself, you have to remember that no one else is going to give that time and space to you. So here's your accountability check. What's one thing that you're going to say no to this week? It might be a project, a social commitment, or even just saying no to scrolling on your phone for an hour. Whatever it is, make the decision and stick to it. Tip 3, get real about time management. Here's the thing. Time management isn't just this crazy, like, check off all the boxes, time blocks, do this at 3 and this at 4 and this at 5. it's just about being intentional with your time and where it's going. So you don't need to have this in-depth color-coded calendar, but having a rough plan for your day or week is a game changer. So carve out time for work, for your family, for yourself, and put it in your schedule like it's a non-negotiable. Tip number 4, practice self-compassion. Here's where we need to get real. Being hard on yourself does not help anything. It just keeps you stuck in that cycle of guilt and overwhelm, and it's time to let go of the expectation and everything should be perfect. You're human. You're going to slip up. You're going to miss a workout. You're going to drop the ball, and you're going to feel like you're failing sometimes, and that's okay. So let's toss that perfectionism mindset and realize that's what we are. We are humans, and that's sometimes, I'm going to fill you in on a little story real quick. Actually, let's put a pin in this. If you've been following me long enough, then you've probably heard me tell this story a million times. A couple of years ago, I've been in the health and wellness world for about 7 years now with coaching and mentoring and everything. And I had the worst perfectionist mindset. I would have a million things on my to-do list. Literally every hour of my time block was blocked. And if I missed something, even if I did a million things, if I'd missed one thing, I would be so mad at myself. And I remember someone was like, "Oh, it's okay, Britt, like you're human." And I took that, like, I was offended, I'm like, what? How dare you call me a human, But it's something I've worked on. And so with my mindset and healing and growth and yada, yada, like, thank goodness for growth, guys, huh? But anyways, I just want to share that with you and just remind you, we're human. We mess up. So don't beat yourself up. Just kind of ask yourself, like, okay, what is the one thing that I can do to kind of help me get back on track? Because it's not about checking all the boxes 24/7. It's just about progress. And progress comes with patience and kindness to yourself while you show up for yourself during this season of your life. All right, before we wrap everything up, I have got a listener question from Jen who asked, how do I stick to my boundaries when everyone else seems to need my attention all at once? Sister, this is a question that I get again and again and again. So let's dive into it. When you set boundaries, it's important to remember that it's not about shutting people out. It's about protecting your time and energy so that you can be there for them in a more meaningful way. Just like I said a few minutes ago in this episode, setting boundaries is an act of love. It allows you to show up wholeheartedly for your people without being full of resentment. It lets you love your people better. Okay, so some closing thoughts. I know I've said this in previous episodes, but hang on tight. I'm going to start doing weekly episodes now that my sweet girlie is getting older. I don't know if it's going to be like midweek or on the weekends. That part is still unclear, but I'm definitely going to start prioritizing these more. A lot has been happening. I have my personal trainer certification that I renewed and just got my Zumba instructor license. Sissy just turned 1. Like, there was a lot of stuff happening. Opened my Etsy store, keeping wellness simple. It is just fantastic, but there is definitely a lot going on. But my podcast episode is at top of the list because you guys are like, where'd you go? I'm like, I'm still here, but I just have to focus more on getting these out. So if there's a topic that you have in mind, send me a message. I'll do my best to dive deeper into it with future episodes. And if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it on social media. Tag me at barbells_and_brownies. And I will talk to you again next week. Love you guys.